Welcome back to Crime Scene, or hello if you're new here. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but what did Nanette do to make someone stab her? Now, before you start running to the comments, calling me names and shouting, "Don't blame the victim," just hear me out. Keep an open mind and stay until the end of the video, and I'll tell you why I'm saying this. As usual, the disclaimer, please note that any statements or opinions expressed here are purely speculative and are not intended to accuse any individual or entity of wrongdoing. Unless otherwise stated as fact, the information provided reflects personal observations or hypotheses. Any conclusions drawn from this content should be viewed in this context. And don't forget to like, subscribe and share this around so that we can get as many eyes on it as possible. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was listening to a podcast about Jane Thurgood Dove. I'm sure you probably all know who she is. If you're listening to this, you probably know all about her. She was the one who was chased around her car in her driveway while her kids were in the car, and then she was shot. But they had a journalist on this podcast as a guest, John Sylvester, I think his name was, and he was saying that he believes that case was a case of mistaken identity. He thinks that a woman up the street was actually the target and Jane was just the innocent victim of mistaken identity. But he said that people wanted to believe that Jane was doing something wrong, like she was having an affair with a gangster or something else wrong, because if they can convince themselves that she was doing something wrong, then their wife, mother, daughter is safe. And I can see exactly what he means. It's like, oh, she was murdered because she was doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, so I'm safe. I won't be murdered. Nobody will want to kill me because I'm completely innocent and she wasn't. And that's what he was saying, and that's what he was getting at. But I think it's often the complete opposite. I think most times, as soon as someone passes, especially murder victims, we put them up on some kind of pedestal, where by dying, they all of a sudden morph into some angel who can do no wrong. I mean, we don't speak ill of the dead, do we? And if we do, then we're uncaring and we're callous. We don't really know anything about them, though. The media might tell us their name, age, occupation, and whether they had a dog. But apart from that, we really know nothing. We just see this picture over and over again of this attractive female who left this world in a brutal way, and we want justice for her. And I think our imagination fills in any gaps about her personality. I mean, what do we actually know about Nanette? Not much, besides basic facts, where she worked, how many kids she had. We don't know her personality, her views, her values, her morals. I'm sure there's someone right now out there thinking, I knew her and she was lovely. And maybe to you, she was. My ex was a monster. But if you asked anyone that he had a day-to-day interaction with, they'd all swear he was the nicest guy in the world. I'm sure everyone listening now knows at least one person, at least one, if not more, who is exactly like that, who you know to be an absolute piece of dog poo, but everyone else thinks they're the bee's knees. Have you seen that movie, The Triangle? It's got Melissa George in it and Liam Hemsworth and that guy that used to be in Wild Boys, which I loved, by the way. And really, isn't every movie better with a Hemsworth in it? But I digress. The movie is a bit weird, but I really liked it. But at the start, Melissa George is the mother of a son who is on the spectrum. And we automatically think she is this wonderful mother. But at the end, we see the version of her that is actually quite abusive towards her son. And it just made me think that we always give people the benefit of the doubt and think they're lovely until proven otherwise. And if we're never proven otherwise, we just go along thinking they're nice. And meanwhile, behind closed doors, they're just a bunch of animals. And I think this is more so when they've been murdered. So am I saying Nanette was a terrible person? Of course not. But we can't be absolutely 100% sure, can we? We don't know what went on behind closed doors. And that being said, there is a spectrum of terribleness, isn't there? It's not you're either Mother Teresa or you're Ted Bundy. There's a scale in between there that we all kind of fall on, whether we're towards the good end or we're towards the bad end. But I'm going to veer away from Nanette was a terrible person, though, because we just don't know. She may have been absolutely wonderful, skipping through tulips with cartoon bunnies bringing her flowers. And I don't want anyone to think I'm victim blaming here, because I'm really not. So why am I even bringing this up? Well, I have to think that Nanette said or did something to cause what happened to her. Now, let me explain. Don't get your knickers in a twist yet. When I say she did or said something that caused it, I'm not saying she deserved what happened to her in any way, shape or form. I think if you've been listening to me long enough, you would know that I don't think like that at all. And I'm not saying that she caused it. The killer did that. Okay, the killer caused it. And as for something she said or did, I'm not saying she was being mean or nasty or vindictive. It could have been something totally innocuous, something that didn't even mean anything to her, but definitely meant something to the killer. And here's why I think that. I'm quite aware that there are monsters out there who kill for thrills, and their victims are completely innocent. It seriously may have just been the colour of their hair that set them off, or a scent apart, as was the case with Bundy. But we don't believe it was a psychopath on the loose or some random stranger, do we? I think we're enough videos in and enough comments in to know that most of us believe Nanette's killer was someone she knew, someone who was in the house at the time, someone that spoke to her before the attack. So then it's just common sense to think Nanette must have said or did something that caused this person that she knew to jump up and attack her. Like I said, it didn't have to be anything bad that she did or said, but most people don't just jump up and attack someone they know out of the blue. Look at the reasons that we usually have for a motive when it's someone we know. Love, money, or revenge. Love doesn't seem likely. There doesn't seem to be any evidence to suggest that it was anything like that. Money doesn't seem to be a factor. She was a single mum raising 2 boys, working as an advertising manager. I don't think there would have been much to kill for. So what about revenge? Did she threaten this person? I did have someone email me suggesting that she may have found out something about someone, and maybe this person wanted to stop her from telling everyone else. Her walking in on someone would be the something she did, although very innocent on her part. My point that I'm trying to get at is, if we believe that someone she knew killed her, then we have to ask why. What happened that made this person commit this heinous act? I think if they were just mentally ill, they probably would have done something else in the 41 years since this has happened. So I have to think that it wasn't mental illness, but maybe trying to shut her up or getting her back for something that she did to them. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and have a great day.